Hello again. I'm Nicholas Markey here, physical therapist and owner of Beach Barbell Training LLC. I am a physical therapist by day and online fitness coach by night. That is what my Beach Barbell Training LLC company is for, online fitness training. So, online fitness coaching. So, like training programs. So, for like working out, for whatever goals someone has, muscle building, strength, and also nutrition, because nutrition is very important for your health and fitness. So, what is today's video on? We're going to talk about how to build a simple training program for general strength and muscle. So, this is just kind of like for the general pop, right? That's kind of who I tend to work with mostly, anyways. And I mean, that's the majority of people, anyways. I'm one of those aberrant people who loves to work out, and I look forward to it, and I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about how to do it better and more optimized and blah, 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 blah. Do it 5 days a week, lifting 5 days a week. So most people are not doing that. Most people aren't even getting the recommended minimum of 2. So let's just try to make it simple for people, and at the same time help them build up some strength and muscle while we're at it. So when you look at a training program, let's just talk about just lifting weights, because that's the main thing. Because cardio is great and it's good for your health, but it's kind of simple for just the general person. Like you can go do a bunch of sprints and, catch your breath and then sprint again. And that kind of works on, the higher intensity training, cardio. And then, or you can do more like the low intensity steady state cardio where, you're going for like a longer extended period of time, maybe something like 20, 30, 40, up to an hour, or whatever plus, like, and you just do as much as you can in that. So it's for the general population, it's not too complicated. So most people are a little bit more trying to understand, like, how do they go lift weights, right? And some people are so like scared of doing it, they just never do it. And the reality is the likelihood of you getting hurt going and lifting weights is pretty damn low. A lot of people are kind of scared into like, oh, if you don't go to the physical therapist or this trainer for ever, you're gonna get hurt, if they're not watching over you the whole time. It's not true, to be honest. Like, and the cool part about the internet, there's a lot of groups now you can join, and you can send in, you can take a video of you doing an exercise, and you can get some, critiques on it. Now, it is the internet, so you're going to get probably a lot of stuff. Maybe some of it's not that helpful, so you kind of have to buyer beware. But anyways, if you just went and just started doing those things, maybe looked at a video. There's lots of good videos. I post them to my YouTube. Videos of just doing like an exercise. Some of them even have like well in depth, sometimes in my opinion way too long. They just like videos that are like 5 minutes long to tell you how to do like one movement. You're like, come on, man, just do the movement, show it to me. Anyways, so let's just talk about kind of a simple way to build out a program. Let's just kind of compartmentalize everything. In general, you kind of have your lower body, your legs, and then you have your upper body, your arms and your whatnot, shoulders and all that. So for the legs, we can kind of split them up into 2 primary movements. Those would be like squats and hinges. And you may not even need to split those up. You can just call like everything legs, right? So like a squat would be squat. Or maybe like a lunge, something where the focus is a lot on your knees bending. Okay, a hinge is where you're focusing more on your hips bending, so like where your butt goes back. So the 2 basic exercises would be like a back squat. I sit down as far as I can handle and I stand back up. And then the hinge would be like a deadlift, right? There's a weight sitting on the ground. I stick my butt back, maybe bend my knees a little bit, and then I grab the weight and I stand up. So they're kind of like working slightly, like the deadlifts is going to work a little bit, probably hit your hamstrings, so the back of your thighs and your butt a little bit more than like a squat. You're going to definitely get the front of your thighs, your quads, and your glutes. Your glutes get to work the whole time, no matter what. So you could split those up. Or you could just say anything that involves my legs. I'm going to call a deadlift a legs. I'm going to call a squat a legs. I'm going to call lunges a leg. you can just do that too for simplicity. For upper body, we can split it up in a couple things. So we have things where we're pushing, so that would be push-ups, that would be bench press, right? And you can split it up in like horizontal and vertical pushing. So vertical pushing would be like an overhead press. Horizontal pushing would be like a bench press or push up, okay? And then you have things where you pull. So I'm pulling towards me, okay? So we can also split that up into horizontal. So a row is just something's out in front of me and I'm pulling it in, just like that rowing machine, right? So I'm grabbing weights and I'm pulling them in. So if I'm either pulling like cable towards me, or maybe I'm bent over and I'm pulling the weight up to me, okay? And then vertical would be like a pull up, so I'm pulling myself up to the bar, or a pull down, I'm pulling the thing down to me like a cable kind of thing. So you could split those up. So we have like upper push exercises, horizontal and vertical, and then upper body pull exercises where you have horizontal, like a row, and vertical for like a pull up or a pull down. And then if you want, you can throw in maybe certain special exercises or isolation exercises. So if you're like, you really want to work your shoulders, so maybe you do something like that just primarily works shoulders, like a lateral raise or something. Or if you're trying to work your abs more, you can do some more ab work, or whatever. Like you can throw in some special thing that you want to work on that's maybe most important to you. And so basically what we'll do is we'll just pick one from each bucket. So I'd say at the minimum, you pick the three, the legs, upper push, and upper pull, okay? So pick a leg, so like we'll pick squats, okay, there's one. And then upper push, let's say we pick bench press, okay? So we're gonna do a horizontal push, and then we'll do pull. For just my OCD weirdness, I kind of try to have them in different spots. You don't have to do that. Like, I don't like to do the deadlift with a bent over row because I just feel like I'm doing the same thing, but it's not. So typically what I'll do is like when I'm going to do the deadlift for the legs, I'll do something vertical. So like I'll do pull-ups for my pull. You can do it however you like. That's just my weirdness. So anyway, so let's just say we picked squats, then we picked bench press, and then we picked bent over row. Okay, so we got our push, pull, and our legs. Okay, and then if like you had something that you're like, I want to work my biceps, so I pick bicep curls. Which are going to get worked with pull, but if you really are wanting to work your biceps more, a little extra, then okay. So then often kind of questions, how many times a week? So remember we talked about the recommended minimum is 2 times a week. Okay. So do we just want to do the minimum? The minimum amount of flair? No, we want to be better than minimum. No, I'm just kidding. So start at 2 times a week, or 3 if you can. Ideally 3. I think for general population, 3 is probably optimal, just because it's like it's not taking up too much of your schedule, so you don't feel like overburdened with it, and then hopefully you don't get burnt out on it. That's the concern. We don't want people to get burnt out. We want them to have fun. We want them to enjoy it, look forward to it. It's hard work, but we're doing something that's just amazing for your health. So for most people, I usually say my recommendation is 2 to 3 times a week of strength training, right? Ideally 3. If they start to really get into it, then yeah, could they benefit from going into 4 or 5 and maybe kind of changing, maybe not doing the simple program anymore, kind of going to more advanced stuff, then yeah, they could. But for general population, 2 to 3 times a week is great. You're doing better. You're in the 90th percentile or whatever, 80 to 90th percentile of people that are actually like lifting weights. Okay, so that's the frequency, and then pick whatever days you want. With that, you got your schedule. So, are you gonna work? Do you go to work and then like is there a gym on the way there? So do you work out in the morning before work and go to work, or do you go after? Like typically, you're gonna want to like fit it in where it's gonna like just be seamless in a way. Like for a lot of people, if you got to go to work and then like you get home and then you got to go to the gym again, like you got to leave to go to the gym after, unless you got like an apartment gym or something or a garage gym with like a bunch of good stuff in it, then like a lot of people, they're just gonna be like, I'm inside now. I don't want to do anything now. So kind of try to just fit it in. That's why I don't really work much Saturdays and Sundays for the most part. Come to the office sometimes on Saturday mornings, but finding like just banging it out Monday through Friday. I wake up at 5 a.m., do my workout. Like, remember, I told you I'm crazy. I do part of my workout at home in the garage and then the other part in the gym when I get here to the clinic. So I got a lot of stuff to do, but, that's just so much better than being like, yeah, I'll do it after work or, I'll do it on Saturday and Sunday. I just kind of rather leave those days free. So we got our weekly frequency, 2 to 3 times a week, 3 times maybe ideally. Okay. So, and then what you'll do is you'll just trade off exercises. So if I did the squat, bench press, and pull-ups on the first day, then the second day maybe I do deadlift, overhead press, and bent over row or whatever, right? You could just flip-flop. So if I did a horizontal push, next time I'll do the vertical push. If I did a horizontal pull, next time I'll do the vertical pull. If I did squats one day, maybe I'll do deadlift the next time, or lunges or something, some other kind of different movement. Sets. So sets are basically groupings of the repetitions. Repetition is just doing the movement once. So if it's squat, I sit down, I squat down, and I stand back up. That would be 1 rep. A set would be like a grouping of that. So like I do 8 of those in a row. So I go up, I come down, go up, come down. I did 8. That would be 1 set of 8, right? So generally, if this is like for a lot of people going to be their first time doing anything, then I would start, maybe week 1, do like 2 sets of each one, okay? And then week 2, maybe 3 sets. Uh, Week 3, I just put 3 sets. And then week 4 on, you can start playing around depending on your frequency. Maybe you go 3 to 5 sets and maybe you play around. Maybe like you kind of work, you go to 3 sets and then week 5 you go to 4 sets and maybe week 6 you go to 5 sets and you're feeling pretty strong with whatever, you're doing. Maybe slightly increasing the weight each week because you're, making it a little stronger. Then you can kind of taper down to 3, 4, 5, and then go back down. So you can kind of do something like this, and play around with different sets and stuff like that. But typically, at least 3, you're kind of wanting to get to that point where maybe you're doing at least 3 if you're going like 2 to 3 times a week. But then if you're like feeling like you can handle more, then you can try 4 and then 5. 5 is usually kind of where you'll top out. You probably get the most like optimal-ish benefit. People can do more, but probably good. If you're getting to 5, then you're probably good. Reps, generally for most people, like a broad range of like 6 to 15 is usually like for like if you're just trying to build some broad general strength and some muscle, then like a range of like the 6 to 15 is kind of a practical range for people. Does that mean you can never do below 6 reps? Like you go heavier, maybe do 3 reps or 4 reps or 5 reps or whatever, or can you never go above 15? No, you can. You can build muscle from like 1 to 30 rep range. So you got lots of room there for muscle building. Strength, depending on who you're asking, is typically going to be defined in like you're building strength if you're doing the 1 to 5 rep range. Although some people might say, oh, well, you built your 10 rep range strength by doing 10 repetitions or whatever. So strength's kind of a broad term. So I'd say you could play with it, but for most people, like a practical range of 6 to 15 seems to be like just a good ballpark. And then you can play around with different rep ranges with the same exercise. So it kind of makes it into like a different exercise, because if you do like say that you say I'm going to do 15 reps of bench press one day. Let's say you're just flying and you're feeling great and awesome, and you want to do and you're doing 4 times a week, we'll say. So you have 2 push days, right? You have four. You have four pushes, and you have two horizontal pushes and two vertical pushes, right? Like based on kind of how we're setting things up here. Then maybe one day you do a heavier bench press and the other day you do a lighter bench press, right? But then you go more reps. So maybe it's like one day is like a 12 to 15 rep bench press, and the other day is like a 6 to 8 rep bench press or something, right? And then you end up just kind of, just a different, it's going to challenge your body differently. It's the same movement, but it's going to kind of provide a little bit of a different stimulus to your body. So that's a good thing. And it's kind of like I said, it's like having a kind of a different exercise in a way, even though it's the same movement. And then rest, for most people, like especially if you're starting out, just when you catch your breath. And for most people, that's probably going to be like 30 seconds, sometimes up to 2 minutes. Depending, like if you're doing some squats, sometimes those take a little bit longer to catch your breath, and then versus like some upper bodies maybe tend to maybe not take as long. But yeah, you're feeling it. Once you're feeling good to go, just go and do it again. That might be 30 seconds, that might be a minute, you know. If you're kind of diddly dallying on your phone, then you're probably going to be wasting a lot of time in there. And if you have time to waste, then sure, waste it. But most of us don't. So generally keep into like a 30-second to a minute or two, and probably just getting up and moving around. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Some people like to stretch between sets, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Is it going to change a whole lot? Probably not, but that's okay. If you want to stretch between sets, that's fine. Or you could just walk around, like if you're doing bench press and you're taking breaks between, you can kind of stretch your arms back around, just kind of keep your blood flow going while you're walking around, pacing around the place, just keeping your heart rate a little up, just getting your extra steps in, as opposed to just sitting there, like we're probably trying to optimize our shape and our physique and stuff. So, getting a little bit extra steps in doesn't hurt. Not to mention just kind of keeping everything mobile. And then you could also try, like, depending if you're having some time issues, you can try what are called supersets. So superset is basically I do an exercise, and then while I'm resting from that exercise, I do this other exercise. And then maybe I rest a short bit, and then I go back. So you kind of go back and forth. So you can do supersets where there's like two. You can do triple sets, 1, 2, 3. Depending, obviously, like it all depends on where you're working out. Like if you've got your own garage gym, you might be able to get away with doing supersets. Like you can do a set of, like maybe you do bench press and then you do pull-ups right away. It's maybe not the most optimal, like 100% optimal thing for attacking the muscle and trying to make it as strong as possible, just because you might be tired, right? So you could just catch your breath a little bit and then do the exercise. But it's not a bad way to shave some time off your workout. So like you end up doing, like the time that it would have taken, like you would have just been walking around, you just do another exercise, and then you give that one other part some more time to recover, and then maybe you're able to hit it pretty good again. So something to consider. Sometimes called an advanced technique. It's straightforward. It's kind of, I mean, there's like the old school circuits where you'd go like boom, 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 like 10 exercises in the circuit and then start up again. So if you go into like a commercial gym, that's kind of hard to do because it's like, and then you're that person that's like monopolizing a ton of exercise equipment. People are like, it's not very gym etiquette. Anyways, so we'll go ahead and end it there. I just want to talk about how to build up, a simple training program, because that's a lot of times questions I get, and this is just a good way to start. So again, I'm Nick Markey, your online fitness coach and physical therapist by day and online fitness coach by night. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, ask questions, whatever, let's try to help each other out and try to learn better, more stuff and get strong and fit and healthy, right? All right. So I will see you next time. Peace.